Thank you for stopping by, everyone. In this video I'll be comparing 6 different methods of muffling your toms. I will be also putting together separate videos for muffling your snare and bass drum later on. Enjoy this presentation. I will be back at the end to talk a little about which of these I like more than others and why. See you then. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and it gave you an idea of some of the products available out there and how much or how little they change the sound of your drums. Let me talk briefly about each of these in the order of appearance, which I intended to go from the least to the most effective in reducing the overtones. Needless to say, the most effective doesn't necessarily mean the best. Most drummers I know only want their drums muffled just a little bit or not at all. To best demonstrate the effect all these gadgets have on the sound, I decided to go with clear single-ply Remo Ambassador heads, which generally tend to resonate more than double-ply. Now, before I get virtually crucified for it, I can hear that I might have tuned that 14 inches tom a bit better. But then I thought maybe this could actually work in favor of highlighting of how some of these gadgets can improve the sound, so I let it be. So first one we have here is the Wincent Tone Gel. At the risk of not being particularly helpful with this next comment, I have to say I'd never actually used these before because I just don't like the texture And there's something about handling jelly sticky matters I just find a bit unpleasant. With a few exceptions, but that's a whole separate subject. Adding the fact that these are supposedly washable, the thought of rinsing the gathered dust and whatnot kind of puts me off even more. Now, that aside, I have to say that the most surprising part of this experiment to me was actually how effective these are. I used to think these jelly beans don't really have much effect on the sound, but as soon as I put one on my rectum, I realized that that's not the case at all. So if I was to objectively consider pros and cons, I would say overall they do what they claim quite well. I also like the flexibility of how positioning them on the drum head changes the amount of muffling you're getting. So I guess there's a reason why, as far as I know, these are actually very popular. Moving on to the DrumClip. Now, this is a relatively new product, I understand, from the US of A. I came across recently. Keith, who invented and sells these, was kind enough to send me some samples for testing, and I have to say, everyone who noticed me using them seemed quite intrigued. There isn't really any criticism I can think of after using these for a few weeks now, and there are a few of what I would consider advantages of these over the alternatives. They are the only ones that can be very quickly and easily applied on both batter and resident heads. In one of my recent videos, I also demonstrate the difference that placement makes. They are available in two different sizes, so they can be used in a number of combinations, which gives a limited but still some flexibility. You can't just throw them in a cymbal bag, not having to worry about them getting damaged. As the manufacturer claims, they are virtually indestructible and come with lifetime warranty. Next are the Aquarian Studio Rings. Firstly, I picked this particular brand over pretty much the identical products of the other leading brands because it was the only one I could find that offers 15 inches diameter. And for that reason alone, I think they deserve a bit of distinction. This had been my main choice of muffling gadget for many years. I do like how they change the sound. They are also thicker ones available from other brands, so there is some level of flexibility there too. I do have some complaints about these though. Firstly, I sometimes get a buzzing sound from the ring hitting against the drum head, which is particularly problematic when you record your drums and your microphone is usually very close to the rim where most of that buzzing is coming from. Secondly, I had instances where during an outdoor gig I had these flying out of my drums picked up by the wind. Another thing, when playing cross stick, the ring sometimes sticks to my hand and I end up accidentally lifting it. All these issues I used to solve by sticky taping the rings to the drum head, but it is a bit of a nuisance. Speaking of which, these drum clips can actually also serve as clips holding these and any other plastic rings in place. Last complaint, they are not the most convenient to handle. They do get creased if you're not careful. The next two products, Remo Muffle Control Rings and Roots EQ Solid Rings, I would probably classify as tools for quieter practicing. rather than achieving a sound that would commonly be considered usable. Most drummers I know would probably think of what these do to the sound as a severe overmuffling. However, I can think of at least one music genre where drummers often put a lot of effort into making their toms sound as dead as possible, and that is certain subgenres of reggae music. If you look at guys like Slide Downbar, for example, you will sometimes see towels thrown on his drums, because that dry sound just works for that music. There isn't much you can adjust with either of these. They just change the sound in a certain way that either works for you or it doesn't. The main difference between these Remo muffle control rings and other products in this demonstration is that these are mounted inside the drum, which obviously is a bit more time consuming. Not much to say, I guess, about the flipped drum heads. Most of us probably have some spare ones they can use. I think Benny Greb might have been the first guy I saw doing this, and I thought I might as well include it in the comparison as an interesting trick. I like how you actually still get quite a lot of stick definition and attack, but the shell sound is almost completely gone. On that note, bye!